Yeah, it's a great deal. All things considered, you have them through, I think it's the 2030-31 season. So you got your top six winger that you're really looking at, and you can put them first line, second line, however you want to do it, and you put them on the first power play unit. They've been talking about they want to get their guy for a while, and they finally get it. When the guy's nickname is Fly, yeah, you're feeling pretty good about yourself because his percentiles of speed and shots, speed and everything else. Yeah, if they're waiting for the guy to be that dude for the Hurricanes, you got a really good one in a Danish winger called Nikolaj Ehlers.
Wait, you guys hear that? We'll play the clip later, but that's someone wanting to come to Raleigh, someone wanting to stay in Raleigh. Can you believe that? How about them apples? Yeah. I mean, again, Genso's down to the wire. Nico, we're past that. Like, that's a decision. And, like, in his press conference, he talked about wanting to be here, talking with Rod. Like, yes, like, this is the place where I want to be. And that's a guy that the Canes needed as well, talking about that playmaking. Didn't quite have that once Nate just left. Someone who's probably going to be a little bit more consistent compared to Nate. Just hopefully Ehlers is able to stay healthy. I know that's a big concern with him, but man, when he's on the ice for the Canes, he is going to be a weapon.
Yeah, Corey Levitt really touched on that with one of his posts saying offensively fans are going to see a lot of good stuff from Ehlers that resembles Martin Necas's game, except maybe not as much liability on defense, but you've got the speed, shiftiness, ability to make a great pass, snap a shot past a goalie. Again, it's just going to be staying healthy, which I think the Canes were okay taking a little bit of that risk because we have there's a backup on our wings. Like, there's guys itching to play on the wings. And what's also fun about this is Ehlers is the most money the Carolina Hurricanes have ever spent on a free agent by over $30 million. And that's if you exclude K'Andre Miller from this list. But that's kind of crazy. I mean, we said let Tulsky cook, and everyone's saying Dundon's cheap. Not anymore, folks. They're proving people wrong one deal at a time.
I'm so sick and tired of saying that he's cheap. That Canes pay into the cap every single year. So this narrative needs to die of them being cheap. It's called being smarter with your money. Because we saw a lot of really terrible contracts over free agency. LA Kings are looking at you. So yeah, this whole part of being cheap, that narrative should have died like at least 3 seasons ago. So I don't know where we keep going with this, but yeah, Ehlers, fantastic. If you looked at the over 10 minutes of highlights that the NHL put out after it was announced, yeah, you can see why this guy is so good because really tough angles, goes coast to coast. Like, he is an absolute weapon when he's on the ice. And the fact that he can do it with fighting teammates or going one-on whatever, like, that's a guy you definitely need. And he's found a way to do what he can do. Like I said, only played in 69 games last year, but still, yes, Rich, go for it. I saw it in your face.
No, I didn't. I was not going there. I was not going there.
But still 63 points, back-to-back 60-point seasons, average over 15 minutes a game last year, 6 power play goals, 5 game winners. He's a guy who's never hit 30 goals, but think about this, though. He's been over 20-plus 8 of the 10 seasons in the NHL, all with the Jets. So this guy knows what he's doing, and he puts up consistently 60-point seasons. So put him in the system with the Hurricanes where he's actually going to be utilized, because I think the knock on Winnipeg was that they just never utilized him perfectly. Now put him with the Hurricanes, and from what it sounds like, they might be a little bit more flexible, let him do his thing. Get ready for possibly some big seasons out of this guy. Are we talking 30 goals? Are we talking 70-plus points? I could definitely see that in the cards with the guy that they have, and especially if they put him in that top line with Sebastian Aho and hopefully Seth Jarvis. Watch out.
Well, to that point, Zach, pucks on net, that's what the Canes do best. And you have a guy that knows how to score and how to create. He is going to be so dangerous in this Canes system. When you look at total point scores from last year for the Canes, if he was on the Canes last year, he would have been third in points behind Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis. So that is a plug and play guy who's going to score points for your team. He is. What a great fit. What a great pickup. Yeah, that's an A to A+ contract for me.
A plug and play guy that, like you said earlier, wants to be here. So apparently as many as 11 teams made last minute bids for Ehlers. And he just said, no, it was going to be Carolina. He loves the fit, the commitment. We showed him from day one. And he couldn't be more excited to be here. I mean, again, even some of the guys that were leaving, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but some of the guys that left us this season were emotional leaving the Canes, and people want to be here. And to see big names like this, like, okay, so Rantanen, you didn't want to be here. That's fine. There are other guys that clearly do. So it's so great. The only thing is people were pointing out, I mean, we had some former Canes even pointed out, is the Canes we have some great players, but they're a little bit iffy on the size of our team currently. But I did want to point out, and I said this when I saw it, was we've gotten size in the past. And honestly, we've gotten a little bit more bite to our players that are smaller than some of the big guys we've gotten over time. That's why those guys haven't stuck around with us, because they didn't do the big guy job that we needed them to do. Meanwhile, Jarvis and Stank are hitting everything in sight, full bulldogs for us. So I'm not really concerned about size. And like, we got size where it matters. I mean, Slavin, Stahl, Freddie, and Net, like, you have size where it really matters. If you want a guy that's eventually going to come in, like, our fourth liners can do the job as well. So I'm not fully concerned about that. I'm more excited for the playmaking and getting those shots and just making it work in the Kane system.
Well, and you think about this too with Ehlers, like there was talks, like he left money on the table to come to Carolina, and that really speaks a lot, because like there was talks of Utah coming in, Detroit, even though it seems like they had no shot to get him, Toronto, Tampa. There was a lot of teams that are going after him. And like I said, he left money on the table. And even Elliot Freeman and Kyle Bukauskas of 32 Thoughts even talked about it too, for the fact that he also wanted some easier travel, because it's tough to travel out of Winnipeg from how far they have to go. And in the Eastern Conference is a little bit easier in terms of just travel wise. So I think that was a nice benefit too, for the fact that it worked out like that. Plus, I mean, we talk about, you mentioned Freddie. I love the quote that they asked him about playing with Freddie. And he was like, I love that dude. Like the fact that they got the Olympics coming up together, and, you know, they were able to help Denmark qualify for the Olympics. Yeah, like they say, it's, as the Hurricanes put it, more Canes, more Danes. That's how it really is. So it's like Finns get wins, Canes just get more Danes. So feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, so Ehlers had his press conference yesterday. We've got a little bit of a clip from it as well. It was a Zoom interview, so it's not the greatest audio, but he talks about his fit in Carolina and a little bit of why he wanted to come. So we'll go ahead and play that for you guys right now.
I think my speed, the stress game that Carolina plays in the sense when they don't have the puck, for example, trying to get the puck back as quick as possible. I think my speed, I'm able to do that. I think with my speed, I can create a lot of room for the other guys as well, and I believe that, you know, I will fit in very nicely. And that's obviously something you look at as well when you try to make a decision. But, you know, I talked to Rod and, you know, we had kind of the same vision about how things are you know, going to go. And again, you know, the talks that I've had with the people in the Canes organization is something that really excited me.
Again, do you hear that? That's someone that wants to be here.
I'm just excited for the guy to be over here talking about his speed and how he's going to, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's Marty Natchez, maybe just a bit more consistent and more defensively sound. Like, that's what Kane said. Like, that was the one thing we were excited. Like, yes, we all love Marty Natchez, but also we were missing those keys to his game. So if you get that in a player of this caliber, that's fantastic. And, you know, he can bond about Winnipeg with Jarvis, but he can bond with Freddie over, you know, being the Danes of the Canes. But I also love that you're just talking about, he left money on the table. That just brings me back to thinking about when Brent Burns waived his no move clause. Like, he literally, there are guys that are like, oh, Yeah, Carolina. Oh, I'll take that any day over X, Y, and Z of what people would say would be a better deal for them. But they're like, but it's not a better fit for me. So I'm really excited. It's going to be very electric to see him. I'm excited to see him fit on the lines, see how he plays with Jarvis, Aho. But yeah, I know listen, the front office, they're cooking. They swung. They're like, this is the guy we're going for. And they're all about it.